Triage is basically sorting through patients and deciding, who gets treatment now, who gets treatment later, and who gets left to die. All right, I want you to keep that in mind when it comes to volume in your office.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
I want to use a medical term today and apply it to appraisals, because I think that there is a great analogy here. I want to pause and remind you that we are sponsored by ANOW software. ANOW is how I keep track of all of these crazy orders coming toward me, including quotes, by the way. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. ANOW.com. It's ANOW.com. Folks, I want to use a phrase, a word, if you will, that you're probably familiar with, but I'm going to read to you the definition because I want this to really sink in, right? I want to set this up this way. Years ago, it was a great show. If you've not seen it, it's a classic. It's called Pearl Harbor. It's very long. It's a great movie. I think they did a wonderful job. Yes, it's Hollywood. Yes, there's a love story there. Yes, there's some things that people have picked apart and say, that couldn't have happened or this couldn't have happened. Okay, great. It's a movie, but it's a great movie. And one of the things that you see in this movie is that on the day of Pearl Harbor, triage was going on. What is triage? Well, triage, by definition, this is from Merriam-Webster, is the sorting of and allocation of treatment to patients and especially battle and disaster victims according to a system, okay, that's a key, of priorities, a system of priorities designed to maximize the number of survivors. Now, what does this look like? You know what it looks like. You've seen it. Again, going back to Pearl Harbor, you remember the nurse, they're grabbing victims and she takes out her lipstick and she starts marking them according to their situation. Triage is to look at somebody and say, okay, this person's probably going to survive and we probably have some time. Let's mark it this way and put them over here. This person is probably going to survive, but critically, we need to get help to them right now. They're not going to survive if we wait. We mark them another way and we put them forward. Another one, you know what? This one is going to die. I hate to do it in normal times. I wouldn't walk away from this person, but this person's going to die anyway. We can't divert our attention away from the individuals that probably have a good chance of living. And so we're going to walk away from this one and we're going to focus our attention elsewhere. It would be a heart-wrenching thing to be involved in. I can't even imagine being a doctor, a nurse, a medical professional, and having to make that decision. Because truly, in that case, just to be very blunt, you're making the difference between, or your decision is making the difference between who lives and who dies. Now, of course, you can argue and say, well, that person was going to die anyway. But again, you're making life and death situation decisions. And that, I can't imagine. Now, we're not talking about life and death here today, but we are talking about the extreme amount of volume that is coming our way right now. I talk to appraisers frequently who say, Dustin, in fact, somebody joked about this on Facebook the other day. They said, I need to hire somebody just to turn down orders. That's a full-time job just to turn down orders. Well, folks, I want to share with you the system that we use in our office and one that I hope that you will start to utilize in your office. It's called Volume Triage, okay? Again, not life and death, but it's a very similar situation. Now, one of the ways that we keep track of everything that's coming in is ANOW. You may not know this about ANOW. I want to share with you something. ANOW has a quote function. What does that mean? Well, when things come in and someone makes a quote, meaning they quote a turn time and a fee, right? What if it's Marge in the morning, but it's John in the afternoon, right? In other words, what if Marge quotes something in the morning and the order later comes in at 2:00 in the afternoon when Marge is gone for the day? How does John know what Marge quoted? How does he know that when the order comes across that it actually met the quote that Marge gave? Well, a great thing about ANOW software is you can put things in as a quote. You can put the company, you can put the address, you can put the fee, you can put notes as far as due dates and turn times and everything else so that when that comes in, you can now turn it into an order. But the other cool thing is if it never turns into an order, you can check your stats and say, okay, how many orders are we getting ratio-wise for the number of quotes that we're getting? It helps me as a business owner to know whether we're quoting too high, quoting too long, if there's other things that we need to be doing. It's a great, great system. ANOW allows it to be easy. ANOW.com. Again, ANOW.com. Welcome back, folks. We're talking today about triage and specifically a system that I've been using in my office for quite a while now, and that is volume triage. Now, again, triage is basically sorting through patients and deciding, who gets treatment now, who gets treatment later, and who gets left to die. All right, I want you to keep that in mind when it comes to volume in your office, because I think it is a very similar situation. Before the pandemic, could not imagine not responding to every quote that came across my desk. Why? Because we could. Folks, we can't anymore. If I responded to every single quote that came across my desk, I would do nothing else, and it would not be a joke about hiring somebody just to sort through the quotes. So what do? We do triage, and it looks like this. We have our favorites. We call them our A clients. You've heard me talk about them. In fact, I've done a whole podcast on A clients, B clients, and Y clients. Let me just briefly tell you, A clients, we love them. They pay us high fees. They're easy to work with. They are long-term clients. They're loyal. We want to keep them happy. B clients, we'll do the work for you, but we might not like your fees, or maybe we like your fees, but we don't like your turn times. Maybe we like your fees and turn times, but we don't like your revisions. There's something that makes this company a B client. And then there's the Y clients. The Y clients, folks, let me just give you a little hint. Y clients don't exist because they're Y clients for a reason. Y stands for why the hell am I working for you? Goodbye, and we fire them. Volume is no different. Imagine your inbox. Imagine you get 3 emails. Now I know you get 300, but just for purposes of me teaching this principle, you get 3 emails. The first one comes from an A client, the second one from a B client, and the third one from a client you don't know. It's not necessarily a Y client, but it's not really one that you really know or you've ever really worked for. Or maybe you did a couple years ago and they're reaching out to you again because they have something that needs done. Here's how we do it in our office. Number 3 gets ignored. That's right, gets ignored. I would never do this in times past. We're doing it now. We don't have time to deal with all of them. Number 3 gets ignored. Number 2, well, we'll attend to it, but on our time. Number 1, our A clients get attended to first. In this triage system, we quickly scan through the email and we see, there's an A client. I'll give you one. VA. VA is an A client. Guess what? They get taken care of. They take care of us. We take care of them. We get it done. Boom, boom, bam, out the door. I love VA. I will treat them well. They treat me well. That's an A client. So if an order comes in for a VA, we immediately snatch that up and we start setting it up and we move forward. There's some AEMCs out there that I'll keep working for, but I'm not going to give them my most attention. They haven't proven that they are on the A list. By the way, I have some AMCs that are on the A list, believe it or not. It's rare, but it happens. But if I see something from an AMC that's a B client, guess what? I'll get to it, but it might not be till tomorrow. Might not be till this afternoon. And sometimes I get to it and they're like, sorry, we awarded it to someone else. And I go, oh, shucks, let's move on. And then there's the others, the either Y clients or clients we don't know, and they get ignored right now. I wouldn't do it in normal times. I'm doing it now. This is the triage system that we're going through. And guess what? Pretty much we've been able to stick to inbox 0 every night. Now, that is tough right now. We get hundreds of emails, as you probably do as well. We do a very high volume office. We are a very high volume office. We do a lot of work. Therefore, we get a lot of emails. It's not easy. But folks, don't do your email in chronological order. Do the skim system. Pull it up, skim through it. You see an order from an A client, grab it, get it done. You see a question from an A client, grab it, get it done. You see a revision request from an A client, grab it, get it done. And then deal with your other emails accordingly. It will work, trust me. Folks, these are the kinds of things that we talk about in our mastermind groups. These are the kind of things that we talk about in our all-star team. By the way, did I mention? I think I mentioned in my last episode, my last mini-sode, that we have reopened the Salt Lake City Mastermind Group. I'm so happy to be back in Salt Lake City. Check us out. Go to theappraisercoach.com/memberships.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Number 1, our A clients get attended to first. In this triage system, let's try this again.